And it's our favorite day of the week again. Here we are with the undisputed hydro weight champion of the world, Harley Smith. Look at him hold that up. See? The champion. I'm the Organic Mechanic at Kelp4less.com. And we're going to have another session. We just answer some of our viewers' questions. That's been fun. Keep the questions coming. We like doing that. But first, I want to bring up a very interesting news article I was reading. So the way the article was written, and of course, if you do a lot of your news on the internet, there's always clickbait. It's always just a portion of the story, so you click and read it. But anyway, this one says 2 men died from using guano in their home cultivation, in their home gardens. So that was the headline of the article. So I had to click that one. I had to click that. So anyway, going to the article, and it says 2 men from New York got a fungal disease in their lungs that they traced back to the guano. And so I continue reading the article, and then some very interesting points came out, is that they were both tobacco users. One had a history of emphysema, and the other gentleman had, other lung issues that were contributed to tobacco use. So anyway, I'm very sorry and feel bad for the loss of anybody's life in that way, and we don't want that. But I just want to bring out a couple points, so if anybody else reads these news articles, they're not, scared or this is bad or this is whatever. One of the examples is he was harvesting guano from his attic, and so of course that was at the very end of the article, and it said the other person bought their guano from an online retailer. And so anyway, I just want to bring up the point that if you use guano, it's been popular. People have used this forever. I mean, way back, it's been known in history that was very nutrient-rich fertilizer for phosphorus and for nitrogen. And at this day and age, if you do buy bagged guano or guano from an online retailer, for that retailer to get it, it has to be from a source that has been heat treated. A lot of times they compost it and heat treat it to kill any pathogens or so on and so forth, so consumers can use it like any other compost. But I just want to throw that out there. Just because this happened doesn't mean it's bad. Just know your sources and be smart about it. Do you have any comments on that?
Just what you're saying. Obviously, not a good idea to be smoking cigarettes a lot. I think we talked about that. I think there's some evidence that cigarette smoking is not good for you, but that's not the point. No, you're right though. I think that if you're trying to do it yourself, to scraping up bag guano from your attic and then just throwing it on your plants, there could be diseases there too. So it needs to be properly treated. And I think the composting part is the most important. If it's properly composted, but if it's going to be commercially available, you got to go to an extra step where there's some pasteurization. But bag guano is good, as you know. The Jamaican bag guano, very high in phosphorus. The Mexican bag guano, very high in nitrogen, depending on what you're looking for. You can make some choices as long as they've been treated properly, and then they're safe for use, just like any compost is.
Exactly.
If you just have compost for compost tea or compost for your garden, doesn't mean just because it's organic doesn't mean it's safe. It needs to be properly treated. It has to reach the right internal temperature. And if it's not, we see it all the time on the news. Oh, look, there's a disease from lettuce. And where did that came from? Oh, it was runoff from the cattle farm that was right next door, with raw sewage. But no, if it's treated properly, if it's composted properly, I think it's going to be generally regarded as safe for use.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And we've talked about this before. Most soil diseases we have, it's because the stuff we've hauled in and used in our soil. You can trace a lot of that back to uncomposted, animal manures, animal waste, things like that. And so just think about that when you do things to your soil, especially in containers or potted plants. It seems like a lot of those problems, we put it on ourselves. So we just wanted to scratch the surface on that, throw that out there. Very interesting article. Never seen anything like that. So just something to bring up and talk about for a minute. But
Yeah.
now let's get to some of our viewer questions.
Okay.
So, and this is getting fun. We appreciate the questions and the comments and the direct emails and things like that because it really helps us move these podcasts along. If you've looked, I mean, boy, it's been a year plus, I think, we've been doing these. And I think we've touched on every nutrient, every biostimulant, a lot of those things in the past. So we love the new content to talk about during the podcast. And if there's one guy that can address it, it is the hydro weight champion, Harley Smith. So here we go. Stump Harley again. Here goes the Stump Harley question. Okay. One viewer wrote in, sounds like he's an indoor gardener, hasn't changed his nutrient regimen, and is sticking with the same genetics. But in his question, he addresses, and this is for, we'll just call him the letter M. So M with an A, and then two T's follow. So we'll just call him M. He said, I lost my quality, I lost my flavor, and I lost my aroma. I haven't changed nutrients, I haven't changed genetics. The last two runs have been like this in this finished product. Do you guys have any idea of what I am doing wrong? And so that's a fair question. For 2 times in a row, you'll have to start questioning everything if you've kept your regimen, kept your genetics, and basically everything's the same. So when I was reading that question, I kind of went right to something has changed in the environment. Something has changed in his automated system or whatever, whether it be temperature, whether it be, maybe he changed some lights. Maybe it's got to be something in the environment. With that being said, you got any ideas? Time to stump Harley.
There's lots of variables, so sometimes it's kind of hard to give you an exact answer of what went wrong. Now, what I will say though, as far as the science here, for you want the color, the aromas, the flavors, that's what he's lacking in his quality, then it's important that you have the right amount of healthy stress. Okay, if you were to, one of the things he could do if he's doing hydroponics is go ahead and start raise the EC a little bit higher. If there's no stress, if everything is perfect, I got a perfect nutrient, perfect environment, then the plant doesn't produce antioxidants to protect itself against stress. So if you give it some healthy stress, and with hydro, it's the easiest way is increase EC, little salt stress, then the plant will produce the antioxidants, and some of those are the colors, the anthocyanins. Some of them are the aromas, the terpenes, and the profiles, and the flavonoids. All those things are the plant's response. Just look for you, Matt, out there, M with your A double T. I knew this a long time ago. I was taught that years ago about EC. But we did a controlled experiment one time with a grower friend of mine. So let's set up some experiments. I said, okay. So we did some side by side. Use the same nutrient, the same environment, temperature and lights side by side. Nothing really changed. And we did 3 levels of EC. That's EC is electrical conductivity. It's the strength of the nutrient solution. So it gets a little salty. It's a little saltier, higher concentration, higher EC. So we did half strength. We did full strength, according to the labels, full strength. And we did high strength, extra strength, side by side. The ones with the highest EC, the one that was a little bit higher than what was recommended, had the darkest colors, the strongest flavors, the richest aromas. And it wasn't like, oh, I think I see a little difference in the color. No, it was an obvious, straightforward, um, see it, smell it, taste it. It wasn't subjective. So there it is. It was just amount of the salt stress. Now, if you're not doing hydro, you can do it other ways to create some cell stress. You can maybe do a little bit more drought stress, let them dry out a little bit more, then do a nice good watering afterwards, so you don't get wilting. Or you can raise your temperatures, have a little
Mhm.
bit of heat stress, the same way. But whenever you're doing that with the soil, it's not as easy to correct. If you overdo it and hurt the plant, sometimes it's hard to get them to come back right. Where in
Mhm.
hydro, it's easy. If your EC gets a little too high, the leaves are curling a little bit, but it's still good. You can always add a little bit of water, dilute it down, write down what that stress level is, what that highest EC for that strain is, and you're going to get it. You're going to get those quality responses. So yeah, I think it's probably environmental, and but if you're doing the same EC and same pH and same everything else, it seems strange that you're getting different stress responses. But that's one thing you could try is to increase the
Right.
stress.
Right. Right. I remember I was working with a really good customer in Northern California, and I'm not I'm not exactly sure of the genetics he was running. We had to run his temperatures in the dark a little bit cooler on this
Mm,
particular variety. That made a really big difference, and we figured that out by accident, of course. But just 3, 4 degrees in the dark made a big difference.
mm.
Have you ever experienced something like that?
Oh yeah. The well, one thing is very common in horticulture is they call it diff, DIFF, and that's the difference between day temperature and nighttime temperature. The bigger the difference between day and night, the more stretching that you get.
Hmm. Right.
So so you try to find, I don't like to see any more than 10 degrees difference. 5 degrees is what I shoot for if I have good control of the environment. But yeah, the day and nighttime temperature can affect that, but it can affect other things too. And I
Hmm.
think it's a good idea to get cooler temperatures toward the end of production anyway, because it's more like fall. You know, hey, nature has all the answers if you know where to look.
That's right.
And when you get closer to the end of the season, what do you see? Your daytime temperatures do come down, but your nighttime temperatures come down further, and that can create a little different kind of a stress and activate the production of some of the antioxidant oxidants.
That's right. That's right. And one thing we noticed was the bricks level came up from the
Hmm.
cooler temperatures, and of course that's just a plant protection mechanism, of course. So yeah, I'm with you. Environmental, maybe something happened to the source water. Maybe it's, it could be a number of things, but this should be relatively easy to get a handle on. Just some other ideas that
Hmm.
they consider on doing that. So yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah,
Good question.
right.
Keep them
That's
coming.
a good one.
Yeah, and then we have another one. And this one may be a little bit more complicated. You could
Hmm.
probably explain this very well in a short amount of time because there's a lot of information that can be linked here. But we have another question: when do the seed lines or hybrids stabilize in their genetic, life? When do they stabilize? Where you can say society, and do you have anything to address that?
Yeah, I'll give the short, simple. It's. I don't want to go into depth in this because it could get more confusing without pictures or diagrams to go with it. But the simple thing is, there's a period of doing your cross and then back crossing until it stabilizes. And I usually look at like F3 generation as being kind of your minimum to stabilize because you're selecting for certain characteristics. And some of those characteristics are dominant, some of those characteristics are recessive. And if you get two of the recessive ones in a cross, it's going to be stable. You're going to have that over and over. You get two dominants, it's going to be stable. If you get a dominant and a recessive in a generation, the dominant's going to show itself, but the recessive is still there. So the next bunch of seeds might have it, it might not. So the idea is they want to stabilize by having, the recessives to recessives together, the dominants to dominants together, without a lot of the variations in between, especially for the characteristics you're looking for as a grower.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, it's going to be called true to type, and you're going to have a better indication, be able to anticipate and predict the results a lot better. Now, if you're doing clones, they're always going to have the same results because whatever its genetics are in the mom, it's the exact same genetics in the progeny. But as soon as you're making seeds, there's sexual reproduction, and you can start to get variations. So successive generations with by a breeder that's selecting properly can stabilize the line.
All
Hope that
right.
explains it.
Yeah, there we go. No, that's a good. Keep those questions coming because that is important. And then the last question we have here, where you got some, you're you've got so many fans out there, but they want to know what is Harley's favorite TV show. Hey, this
Favorite
is true.
TV show? Well, if it's going to be my favorite TV show, it has to go along with Sue because we watch TV together. I might watch my football, and she's like knitting, you know.
Oh
But
yeah.
I just finished my binge. I have to admit, I did a Yellowstone binge. Couldn't
Okay.
help it. I went through all the different episodes, and it just was the season finale. And now it's over, and I know I'm going to go through some withdrawals until I can find something else interesting. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
the
Now
greatest
what? Now what
show
do
on
you do with your
TV.
life?
I'm going to say it's the greatest show on TV, but I definitely was entertained. Let's put it that way.
Okay, there you have it. Good choice. I think a lot of people are in that same boat. Okay, there you have it. Yeah, keep those questions coming, and we'll do our best to address it. And we're kind of winding down on our time limit here. And anything else you need to bring up or address before we sign off?
Yeah, I guess I'll have to do it too because I know these are delayed broadcasts.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how many we're ahead, but right now it's pre-Christmas. We're a
Hmm.
1 week to Christmas, and I haven't done any classes during the fall because I want to do a little bit more research. I want to rethink some of the themes. There's going to be the same general topics, but a little different content. So I took a break from teaching, and I'm starting up a new semester, another 12-week series, January 8th, after the new year. So if I don't know if you're going to people watching now are going to be able to do that, but if you ever want to see what's coming up next, if this might be later, just go to hydroharley.com. That's my website, and you can every time I put in a new class or a new time, the catalog of classes automatically updates. So if you're interested in taking my classes in the winter semester, it's starting in 3 weeks from today. But I'll send
Okay.
you a link if you can get it out there
Hmm.
to some of our viewers or some of your people, some of your mail
Yeah.
list. I would greatly
Hmm.
appreciate it.
Okay. Hydroharley.com, and we can fast track any episode we want, put it before other ones, and so that's good. So we'll get the word out there. Send us that information. We'll put a link on our website and in our subscriber email list at
Mm.
kelp4less.com. We'll get the word out.
Much appreciated. So make an announcement. You still have time. I had one of our students, or one of my students, but one of maybe our fans, is actually giving the registration for the class as a Christmas present. to his
Hey,
father-in-law. So
wow,
I'm not going to say who it is because the father-in-law may be watching this podcast. Don't want to spoil
that's a
Christmas.
good gift.
But hey, there's a Christmas
Yeah.
present for you.
Heck yeah. That's
Believe
what could be the greatest gift of all.
knowledge. And also, I might as well mention this too, put in a plug for you and Kelp4less. Hey, why not? If you have some gardener friends out there, you can't think of a present, well, they'd love to grow. Give them some biostimulants. Give them a little pack, a little
That's right.
little snack pack. I'm sure they'd appreciate it with a little instructions on how to use it. And I did that with my dad one year. I had some a micro blend that I had just been kind of playing with. I had a few samples actually at that point, and gave it to him as a present. And he used it in his garden. He told me it was the best tomato harvest he had ever had. So, hey, give that joy. Give the joy of
There you
growing
go.
to someone that loves growing
Yeah,
anyway.
that's right. All I want for Christmas is the 1 pound kelp.
Yeah, pal. Anyway, I guess that's we're out of time, but we're going to be probably not. I think as we discussed, we're not going to have a Christmas uh, episode. We're not going to be doing a podcast next Wednesday, but I
Yeah.
will. But Merry Christmas, and I will see you after the New Year for sure,
Okay.
or before,
Same to
maybe
you.
before the New Year.
Yeah. And tell Sue we said the same thing. Merry Christmas.
Okay, bye. See you
Okay.
next
Thanks.
time.
See you. Bye bye.